When Andy Bernard from the US office said, "I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them," this hit viewers like thunder. Right now in my own life, I believe I am here, within said good old days. I work a job I love, I have an incredible social life, I have amazing friends, but there is a bitter sweetness to my daily events. The friends I have become so close to, many of them are leaving. Some are leaving the country, some are going traveling and potentially off into the void, away from me. It almost feels like an emotional excommunication to have been given something so beautiful for it all to be taken away. A study at the University of Southampton defined these feelings I have as anticipated nostalgia. It is the term used for one's nostalgic feelings of present and future experiences. They noted that the stronger the positive experience, the higher anticipated nostalgia one would feel, and that the nostalgia would savor the experience more. On one of our many escapades, I was surrounded by my friends in Regent's Park. Several beveragios were amongst consumption, music was blaring off a JBL speaker, some of us were playing football in the background, and London's summer sun was colonizing my neck. It was in this very moment that it hit me. I was euphorically depressed. This too must end. I was savoring this moment and thought, this moment will stay with me forever. Our friends at Southampton University also noted anticipated nostalgia measured before a major life transition predicted nostalgia after the transition, which in turn predicted higher self-esteem, social connectedness, and meaning in life. The word nostalgia comes from the Greek nostos, return, and algos, pain, and was first described as a medical condition in the 17th century among soldiers far from home, literally classified as an illness before it was understood as something closer to a coping resource. In relation to the US office, the characters of the show are constantly interviewed about their lives whilst they're still living them. With most shows, you are forced to look back once the show is finished. The Office keeps forcing people to reflect in real time before they know how the story ends. It's basically a 9-year experiment in anticipated nostalgia. There are some spoilers here for The Office, so beware. Michael's departure episodes work because everyone else in the office is still going about their ordinary day, stapling, filing, complaining about small things, completely unaware that a defining era of their working lives is quietly closing. That gap between how momentous a goodbye feels in hindsight and how unremarkable it looked in the moment is exactly the you don't know you're in it until it's over problem. Andy's own arc makes the line landing on him kind of devastating. He spends the show chasing status, regional manager, a cappella fame, his Cornell glory days, always oriented towards some future peak. He loses the job, loses Erin, and only in the finale, once nearly everything's gone, does he arrive at that insight. The show essentially makes him earn the wisdom by taking away the things he was too busy striving toward to appreciate. John Koenig's The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows is built entirely around this gap. His stated project is to get to work redefining the world around us until our language more closely matches the reality we experience. 2 entries are déjà vu, the awareness that a moment will become a memory even as it's happening, and apolitis, on the sensation of a life stage ending. He argues we only have a rudimentary vocabulary for the subtleties of emotional experience. Mono no aware, the Japanese aesthetic concept of the pathos of things, the bittersweet awareness of impermanence, classically tied to cherry blossoms precisely because they're beautiful and dying as you watch them. We then have writers like Marcel Proust, whose novel In Search of Lost Time is an exploration into a past he'd once forgot. The novel's most famous scene is the narrator dipping a madeleine into a cup of tea. He thus is flooded with a past memory. I'm bringing this up because I never want to be like that narrator. I never want to have forgotten this summer. The laughs, the nights parading around Camden Town, and the days at work lived with passion. I am almost the antithesis to Proust. His argument was that the past is involuntarily recovered, but I am living in the memory now, whereas he had once forgotten. If nostalgia only arrives uninvited, then the ache of "I think I'm living in the good old days right now" is actually a strange exception. A rare moment where you're getting the Proustian revelation early, in real time, instead of decades later via a smell or a song. Kierkegaard also said life is lived forwards and understood looking backwards, and perhaps once this period of life is over, with some time, I will better understand the feelings I feel at present. All of us one day will die. There is no escaping this. But death is a blessing. If our time on earth were infinite, what would you do? Heidegger's idea of authentic existence was tied to awareness of finitude, that confronting endings, even small ones, not just death, is what makes anything feel meaningful at all. The fact that this too will pass is the whole point. A colleague of mine left the other day. In the 5 months that I'd worked with her, she was essentially our work aunt. When she alerted me she would be leaving, she said something that didn't quite sit right with me. People come and go. You'll move on. And I will move on, eventually. But it's never sat well with me, the idea that people go. It's as if there's this almost contract between us that has decided this is as far as you and I go. I'm really trying to not make a mountain out of a molehill here, but to better understand loss. We all know nostalgia sells. Reboots, remakes, vintage aesthetics, throwback content are evidence that anticipated nostalgia has become something marketed back to us, almost pre-packaged before an era even ends. The promise of bringing something back from the past always fills us with excitement, but never quite reproduces the same effect. That's because things must be left behind. The fact that The Office ended only ever helped the show. Those characters stand the test of time because not only were they reflecting in the moment about their own lives, we reflect upon the first time watching it. The laughs, the cries, the drama, and we revisit them, much like going through old photos of days long gone. So what do I do about it? Maybe nothing. Maybe the answer isn't to solve the ache, but to let it do its job. The strange thing is, feeling like you're already missing something while you're still inside it isn't only grief, it's attention. It's your mind insisting, notice this. Andy Bernard wished for a way to know he was in the good old days before he'd left them. And I don't think I'd ever get that certainty, but I get something close. This restlessness, this low hum of don't let this slip by unnoticed, and maybe that's the closest thing to his wish that anyone actually gets. Not a warning system, but a nudge. So I've stopped trying to make the feeling go away. Instead, when it shows up, mid-laugh with people I love on some ordinary Tuesday that doesn't deserve to be ordinary, I try to stay in it a while longer. Not to hold on to it, just to actually be there while it's still mine.